This is amazing. Bob Woodward has found tape, and he's now sharing this on Washington Post, of Fox News analyst and contributor going over to Afghanistan when General Petraeus was still in Afghanistan. This was before he even went to the CIA, and obviously before he had to resign because of the mistress. It's Katie McFarland sent in as an emissary from Roger Ailes, the person who runs Fox News Channel, to send a message to General Petraeus. These tapes are amazing. These are audio tapes. They are confirmed. Fox News admits that it was, in fact, McFarland, and they did have this conversation. Let's start.
I've got something to say to you, by the way, directly from Roger Ailes. Okay?
With no one else in the room?
Well,
I hope.
You know, you guys have ears and your ears are dead.
So Petraeus is careful, says nobody else was in the room when Ailes gave you the message, right? And she says, yeah, I got a direct message from Ailes. This is after they do an interview, a news interview. Afterwards, she's having this conversation. He's going to relay the message. So what is it?
I love Roger.
I know, and he loves you, and everybody at Fox loves you. So what I'm supposed to say directly from him to you, through me, is, first of all, is there anything Fox is doing right or wrong that you want to tell us to do differently?
Okay, there were so many great things in there. First of all, the love fest. The direct message from Roger Ailes is he loves you. Okay, I don't know if I drew that right. Okay, and then, second of all, look at this. This is a news organization asking one of the top generals in the military, what would you like us to say on air? For every Michael Hastings and Glenn Greenwald and the rest who had said, hey, you know what, the media is too much in the pocket of the Pentagon, boy, I have never seen any better evidence than this. They literally asked the general, what would you like us to do? What propaganda would you like us to do on our news channel? But actually, the other part of the offer is even more interesting. Keep listening.
The other thing, which is directly advice to you from Roger Ailes, is...
Do you want us to leave, sir? I'm not running.
And that's not the question at this point. He says that if you're offered chairman, take it. If you're offered anything else, don't take it. Resign in 6 months and run for president.
That's amazing. First of all, I like how they get a little uncomfortable when they realize there's somebody else in the room this time around. And yes, perhaps they should have asked them to leave. I don't know who leaked the tape, but it's amazing that it got out. And they say, here is the, not order, because General Petraeus did not follow it, but heavy suggestion from Roger Ailes. If you'd like to play ball. If President Obama offers you the CIA, do not take it. Demand to be the Joint Chiefs Head, that is the top position in the military. If he doesn't give it to you, drop out and run for president against President Obama. This is the head of a news organization sending this message to one of our top generals. In the old days, this would have been unbelievable scandal. Everybody that was involved would have been fired. But I guess people long ago stopped believing that Fox News was actually a news organization, although they haven't stopped pretending at all. So he's telling them, hey, listen, if you do it, man, we got your back. And here's what you should tell Obama. Again, to be fair to Petraeus, he did not listen to Ailes. He wound up taking that CIA position anyway, and he's going to explain why he did in a little bit. Let's keep going.
At some point, when you go to New York next, you may want to just chat with Roger and Rupert for that matter.
Well, Rupert's after me as well.
Oh, I love that. Rupert's after me as well. So meaning that he had previous conversations with Rupert Murdoch, who's the owner of News Corp, saying, oh, they're both encouraging me to go. Now, whenever you ask the Fox News people and the News Corp people, they say, what, us? We're fair and balanced. Us encourage the Republican Party? Be in favor of the Republican Party? Well, we would never. Except they're literally, behind the scenes, indisputably, trying to pick the next Republican presidential candidate. Now, remember, this is still in the primaries. And in fact, Roger Ailes is going to admit that later. But let's keep going with the tape.
His deal with me was that I was only supposed to talk to you.
Yeah, okay.
And my deal with you will be I sit down with him, and he is a little paranoid, so believe me, he doesn't have anybody in that room.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
No, I love that. Oh, he's paranoid, man. And that is every single press report about Roger Ailes, is that he's massively paranoid. Apparently, he should have been paranoid, not about who was in the room in New York when McFarland and Ailes were having that conversation, but who was in the room when McFarland and Petraeus were having that conversation. And so the reason he's paranoid is because he's up to no good. He's catching these conspiracies. It's obvious. It's literal. It's right there on tape. Keep going.
We're going to be retrenching militarily. I mean, I think
You mean in Libya or national? I mean,
I think just
international.
national, I just think. But on the
Libya
other
is a
hand,
little bit of a screw up on that.
the other folks, on the other hand, I think are going to be in a growth industry.
You mean
So-
Obamacare?
No, intelligence.
Oh, the bad guys.
Yeah, the intelligence community, I think, is going to
You
be
mean the bad guys, or you mean our intelligence
our
community?
intelligence community.
McFarland, apparently not the sharpest tool in the drawer there. No, he's talking about why he's not going to take Roger Ailes' advice. He's saying militarily we're retrenching, so that is no longer a seat of power. I'm going to move to the intelligence community, the CIA, which is actually growing and growing. So I'm going to grow my power by moving from the military to intelligence, which is, by the way, exactly what he did. They keep going.
No, I haven't seen him in a while, so.
I think he would very much appreciate
No,
the
I'd love to see him.
conversation.
Yep,
And
he's a brilliant guy.
he is simply brilliant.
Oh, Roger Ailes, how brilliant. Now, this is the second time she said, hey, when you're in New York, make sure you go visit Roger Ailes. He has a lot more where this came from. He will direct you over there. Now, how about the money, Lebowski? Well, we're about to get into that too.
I don't know if you've ever...
Tell him if I ever ran, but I won't.
Okay, I know.
If I ever ran, I'd take him up on his offer.
Okay. All right.
He
But
said he would quit Fox
I know. He's not the only
and
one.
bankroll it.
Now, did you understand that? She had said, yes, that's right. Roger Ailes would quit as head of Fox News to run Petraeus' campaign. Fair and balanced. Them leaning towards the Republicans? They would never, unless their head left and ran the presidential campaign of the Republican nominee. Now, there Petraeus screwed up a little bit, saying, wait, is Ailes going to be bankrolling me? No, let's figure out exactly who is going to be the money behind this operation.
Bankroll it?
Or maybe I'm confusing that with Rupert. No,
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, I know Roger's. He's done okay, but no, I think the one who's bankrolling it is the big boss. Okay, the big boss is bankrolling it. Roger's going to run it, and the rest of us are going to be your in-house.
Yeah, right. Okay.
We're all set.
You're all set. I'm glad that that conspiracy was cleared up. Rupert Murdoch, the big boss, is going to be the one that finances your campaign. Roger Ailes is going to run your campaign. And if you win, we're all going to be inside the White House. Now, that last part she was at least partly joking about. Of course, I'm sure she's worked in Republican administrations before. She didn't mind throwing in that, oh, don't forget me, remember the messenger, okay? If you win, I'm on your team too. Now, of course, Petraeus chose not to run against President Obama as a Republican. And he explained here one of the reasons why he kept saying to McFarland over and over, I'm not going to run. And that answer is a little ironic.
It's never going to happen. No,
I know, it's
really
never
isn't.
going to happen.
My wife would divorce me,
Right.
and I love my wife.
Tell her it's a beautiful house.
We have a beautiful house.
Well, maybe 2016, because that's probably not as big of an issue as anymore. All right, now you know. There's no ands, ifs, or buts, and Fox News admits that is, in fact, the tape of McFarland having that conversation with Petraeus. Their only excuse, and this is really funny, is Roger Ailes, when confronted with indisputable proof, says, well, I was joking. Quote, it was more of a joke, a wise-ass way I have. Really? You sent McFarland all the way from New York to Afghanistan to deliver a funny joke to Petraeus? Did that whole thing sound like a joke to you? Really, you're going to joke around with one of our top generals that your boss would bankroll his campaign, that you would run his campaign, and here are the specific career moves that you should make. Imagine he took your advice and then you say, oh, I was just being a wise ass. Please. But it doesn't really matter because he explains in the next quote that he did mean it. Quote, I thought the Republican field in the primaries needed to be shaken up and Petraeus might be a good candidate. In other words, that's exactly what you intended to do. You intended to bring Petraeus into the field, so you weren't joking at all. You were 100% serious. That's an amazing admission. I think you screwed up by admitting that. And then finally, he's got to throw somebody under the bus. It can't be him that's organizing all of this, right? So he says about McFarland, quote, it sounds like she thought she was on a secret mission in the Reagan administration. She was way out of line. Oh yeah, there you go. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. This woman that I had a conversation with in my office misinterpreted a lot of things that were incredibly specific and decided to tell that to one of our top generals. And plus, I was joking. Wait a minute, were you joking or was she joking? Was it your idea or her idea? Oh, these explanations are horrible. If anything, all they do is confirm this even more. Amazing story.